Designing different classes in an MMORPG that perform well in their intended role while also having a comprehensive move list is no easy task, but the developers of Final Fantasy XIV have done so on several occasions. Today I'm going to give my impressions on one of the most well-designed jobs in FF14, the Samurai. Let's get started. I'm going to start off by saying I enjoy the Samurai a lot, and it all stems from the 1-2-3 combo and how comprehensive it feels. The 1-2-3 combo for the Samurai is used to generate the job's 2 resources. Each hit generates Kenki, a resource that can be spent on attacks and buffs, and combo enders generate Sen. There are 3 different Sen that can be generated, and depending on how many Sen you have active, your Iaijutsu ability will change. When you have 1 Sen, you can apply a damage over time effect to a single target. With 2 Sen, you can deliver a powerful area damage attack, and with 3 Sen, you can deliver a powerful single target attack. There's a lot going on there, but everything makes sense and all of the resources are generated organically through combat. You never have to go out of your way to generate Kenki or your Sen. When you add the rest of the Samurai's actions on top of these base mechanics, things can start to feel a bit overwhelming. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle, but the more I put the pieces together, the more the bigger picture starts to reveal itself. Something I've only just started playing around with are the movement abilities for the Samurai. They have a gap closer, which isn't anything out of the ordinary, but they also have a retreating attack called Yaten. And by the way, if I butcher any of the Japanese pronunciations, I apologize. The Yaten ability costs 10 Kenki, and on activation it delivers an attack with a potency of 100 and sends your character backwards for 10 meters. What's cool about Yaten is it functions sort of like a combo starter for your ranged attack NP. When you activate Yaten, you gain a buff called Enhanced NP. At its base, NP delivers a ranged attack with a potency of 100, but while Enhanced NP is active, the potency is increased to 320. NP also always has the additional effect of increasing your Kenki by 10. So when you combo Yaten with NP, you're always Kenki neutral. So when you start getting more accustomed to a boss's patterns and your own rotation, you can use these abilities to look like a badass and do more damage. It's really cool when you use these 2 abilities successfully. Something important to note though is that NP interrupts combos because it's just a normal weapon skill. If you're retreating from an enemy attack while you're in the middle of a combo, you don't want to use NP, so you have to weigh the pros and cons. Should I finish my combo then backdash and follow up with NP, or should I just be safe and walk out of the way of the area attack? These 2 abilities give me so much to think about when I'm playing the Samurai, and it makes it feel a lot more active than some of the other DPS jobs in the game. In keeping with the theme of being a more active DPS, the Samurai requires its players to do what I call Kenki math. The Kenki resource is used primarily on an ability called Kaiten and an off-global cooldown attack called Shinten. Kaiten increases the damage of your next weapon skill by 50%. Kaiten costs 20 Kenki, and you activate it before using your Iaijutsu for the best results. Shinten is a 320 potency attack, and it costs 25 Kenki. The fun part comes in because of an ability called Third Eye. Third Eye is the closest thing in Final Fantasy XIV to a parry. On activation, you gain a buff for 3 seconds that reduces your damage taken by 10%. That's not a lot, but if you're hit during that time, you gain a new buff called Open Eyes, which lasts for 15 seconds. While under the effect of Open Eyes, you can use the Kenki spender, Seigan. Seigan is a 220 potency attack, but it only costs 15 Kenki. So while it hits for less damage than Shinten, it's a more efficient use of your Kenki. The Third Eye ability makes me feel almost like a tank while I'm playing the Samurai, and as a tank main, this is pretty awesome. Instead of looking for tank busters, I'm looking for raid-wide damage to activate Third Eye so I can gain access to Seigan. I also enjoy this because I enjoy counter-attack based characters in action MMOs and fighting games as well. Another thing that's interesting about the Samurai is because it's so well designed, it makes other jobs that are less well designed feel really bad. The other day I was working on my monk impressions, and when I switched to the Samurai to do my impressions for it, I immediately realized how comprehensive the kit was. Every single ability on my hotbar had a purpose, and I was itching for the opportunity to use them. There are some abilities that are niche, so they don't get pressed a lot, but they still feel like they have value and an impact on my gameplay. If I had to pick a favorite action, it would be Mikyo Sushui. Mikyo Sushui allows you to execute 3 weapon skills without meeting combo prerequisites. The way this generally works is you activate Mikyo Sushui, you use all of your combo enders to generate 3 sen, then you follow up with your Iai Jutsu, Midare's Setsugeka. But that's not the only way to engage with the ability. For example, at the start of large dungeon pulls, I'll use Mikyo Sushui to activate Jinpu and Shifu, a damage buff and an attack speed buff respectively. Mikyo Sushui allows me to apply these buffs faster so I can get to my AoE damage rotation faster. I hope I'm pronouncing all this stuff right, but my point is the ability Mikyo Sushui is multi-purpose. It has flexibility and all of the ways that it's used feel valuable. This is a sensation that permeates the entirety of the Samurai's kit, however there are 2 skills that don't feel as good as I would like them to. Meditate has a very similar function to the monk ability Anatman. Meditate is a channeled ability, and while channeling you generate Kenki and stacks of meditation. Meditation can stack up to 5 times. While you have stacks of meditation, you gain access to an ability called Shoha. Shoha's potency increases for each stack of meditation you have. There's genuinely nothing wrong with this. Meditation is a niche ability. Whenever bosses are off the field, you activate it and you generate your Kenki, and when the boss comes back, you slap them in the face with Shoha. But Meditate feels a little bit clunky because, just like Anatman, it is based on server ticks. Essentially, anytime there's an ability that's based on server ticking in Final Fantasy XIV, I'm going to wish it was a little bit different. Again, I don't know how this could be changed, or if it even really needs to be changed, but if Meditate was a bit more responsive, then the follow-up ability Shoha would have more functionality, and it's such a cool looking ability that I can't help but wish it could be used more often in regular gameplay. With all of that said, I'm very impressed with the Samurai, and there are even things I didn't mention about its kit, but in my impressions videos, I like to talk about the things that stand out to me the most. I'm very excited to keep playing it, and I want to find out more about the job and different ways that I can optimize it. With all of that said, we're going to wrap things up here, but stay tuned because there is plenty more Final Fantasy XIV content coming. I've got a little bit more stuff that I want to do with the tanks, and I'm leveling up more DPS jobs to do impressions for, and eventually overviews. To wrap things up, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support the channel more than you already do just by watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting, you can head over to patreon.com/iBluairJgR to become a patron. As always, the name of the game is Final Fantasy XIV, the name of the channel is iBluairJgR. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.